Panther Pickles on the mic, no secrets that he'll keep. Been here since day one, through the glory and the pain. Got opinions sharper than a linebacker's campaign. If you can't handle truth, well buddy, here's the deal. Shut the hell up, that's how pickle kids are made. Time to deal with it, every Sunday we ride the Carolina Legion, standing right by your side. Hot takes and wild takes, we're calling every play. Panther Pickles sharper than a linebacker's campaign. If you can't handle truth, well buddy, here's the deal. Shut the hell up, that's how pickle kids are made. Time to deal with it, every Sunday we ride the Carolina Legion, standing right by your side. Hot takes and wild takes, we're calling it the play. Panther Pickles here to lead the way. No sugarcoating losses, no hiding from the fight. Just honest Panther passion burning through the night. So grab your jersey, crack a cold one, settle in your seat. The Legion's got you covered, let's bring the heat. No sugar-coated losses, no hiding from the fight. Just honest Panther passion burning through the night. So grab your jersey, crack a cold one, settle in your seat. The Legion's got you covered, let's bring the heat. No sugar-coated losses, no hiding from the fight. Just honest Panther passion burning through the night. No sugar-coated losses, no hiding from the fight. Just honest Panther passion burning through the night. So grab your jersey, crack a cold one, settle in your seat. The Legion's got you covered, let's bring the heat. Let's bring the heat. Deal with it.
Things like that. And you definitely don't want any tube droop or anything of that nature.
From the Carolinas where the black and blue runs deep. Panther Pickles on the mic,
I
no
can't just stop.
secrets that he'll
From the sea. The supergun is designed to fire up into the sky at an angle of 85 degrees. But the velocity of the
Hello, folks.
impact.
As soon as I figure these things out, I'll be ready to go. Real quick, I wanted to shout out. I wanted to say that we had some transactions today, and they Jalen Coker and Austin Corbett were both added to the regular roster, removed from injured reserve, and they already had a 53-man spot available. So they did put Pat Jones on injured reserve. That cleared up 2 spots, and Corbett and Jalen Coker were added to that. Now, a lot of people are like, "Well, I don't really want, I don't really want uh, Austin Corbett to go on." They were like, "I really didn't want Austin Corbett to be on the active roster," and I think people are misunderstanding. Austin Corbett is just going to be a backup, and let's ask ourselves, real quick, if if you were so if you um if well, anyway, I don't need all that. If you the Panthers, um as you can see, Jalen Coker kind of goes into your number 3, because when you traded Adam, that was your point, to get Coker more active. So he kind of steps in at your number 3. You have Hunter Renfro, Bryson Tremaine, and Jimmy Horn Jr. One of them will start. Will I'm not certain all 6 will be active, but it's kind of a toss up. I personally believe Bryson Tremaine will likely be inactive. Now he's had some good catches. He's a key special teamer, but he isn't that vet. And as some of us know, because we've watched the games, Hunter Renfro has made some key catches. Now they easily could put Hunter Renfro on the inactive list to kind of save him for later in the season and like use Bryson Tremaine. But the catches Bryson Tremaine or Hunter Renfro may could be done by somebody else, but Hunter has that veteran experience that he can get open. Now, um, just Jake uh Curran is a veteran. If you can look, you see here he's was in Seattle with the coaches. Then he was in Chicago for a year or for a few months. Then then he ended up in Arizona. Then he ended up in here. So he's not really he's been active for a few games, but he's not really had a boatload of experience. Now that being said, him and Nick Sir is a was picked up off Baltimore's practice squad, um, or not practice squad, off their waiver claims when they did their cut down. So in reality, this ain't have it now, but I'm going to assume Austin Corbett is going to be depth behind Brady um, and Jake. Uh, then that way, later in the season, when or or in the game, Brady has experience at all five positions, but he's also has experience. Uh, he also has experience, a lot of experience. He was a year and a half at left guard. So, and Austin Corbett went to the Pro Bowl as a right guard, which Brady was at left guard rather. So it makes more sense to kick Brady to the left side and put Austin at right guard. But if now that's including that Damian Lewis can't go because he has some sort of chest problems or injuries of some sort. Now, now, so now in that situation, they could try Austin Corbett at left guard and see how it works. Because if Austin was to continue basically his season here and maybe even his future here, he may need to be a backup. So he has to prove that he can play both sides. Um, that may be an issue that we're looking at. Um, Plus, if they're planning to trade somebody, Austin would be a better opportunity to show that he can line up on both sides um, and play in the middle. Now, he'll be Cade May's backup, um, but uh, because as you can see, Robert Hunt, Chandler Zavala are both on IR. Left guard Damian Lewis um, was questionable. He had an issue with his shoulder. It says here, we were told the other day it was a chest, but it's his shoulder. He's having a shoulder issue. We don't know it. We'll know right before the game whether he was playing or not. If he can't go, uh, he will step in. Corbett will step in at guard. Um, but now Bryce knows Corbett so very well. So they should be good. Now Patrick Jones, the rusher, was placed on injured reserve. Boogie Basham is brought up temporarily off the practice squad to kind of help out in that position. Now, um, could they make that permanent? I'm assuming they could at some point, but for right now, that is what we're looking at. Um, so now if we look at the official depth chart, now I want to tell y'all something. The official depth chart is released on Tuesdays after on the player's day off after Monday. And um, after the regular uh, is the player's day off, coaches are just in there right before the Wednesday that they start working on the next game. So it's kind of a situation where the Panthers release it because it's NFL rules. They have to release a depth chart. So everybody's going to look at this depth chart that's supposed to be official, but the players can change, the coaches can change it anytime they want, and they often do. So that is not the depth chart. There we are. But if you see here, they don't have this updated again because they don't have to update it until Tuesday, the official depth chart. Now, who's playing it where and what? The players, the coaches know that. But they don't have to tell us. If they tell the fans, they're telling everybody else. So why would they tell that? Now, that being said, folks, a lot of us understand how this works. I believe we're going to be fine. I believe we should win this overwhelmingly. A lot of times, and the running game, I know some people are going to say, well, who's going to start, Panther? Pickle, tell me who's going to start, Chuba or Rico? I believe you go with the hot hand. I believe the coaches would get a big black eye in the NFL word if they don't start Rico. So you start Rico, and you also allow Chuba to get plenty of playing time. And Chuba is going to come out with this opinion that he wants to show the world that, hey, I'm not going anywhere. I uh, I'm not going to be somebody's doorstep. This is my job. I got hurt. He ain't taking it. I'm going to come out there with a little anger and a little bit of motivation. I always like that. Now, that being said, people say, well, Bryce is just going to be a game manager, and why would you trade up for a game manager? Listen, when you're an NFL team and you trade up in the draft to select a quarterback, you don't necessarily know what you're getting, but you take what you get and you work around it and you make it work. That's one thing that Dave Canales is doing. He's making it work. He does, he's just making it work. So he's taken what he has on Bryce and he's changing the roster to fix that issue. And it's making the Panthers good. We've got weapons that I'm just impressed with altogether because you have so many um, weapons that you can go with. Now, if you look here, this is an updated version. Shout out to ourlads.com. Now, if you look at that, even if they go with the young guys, hypothetically say Hunter and Jimmy Horn are active, hypothetically, Coker's lineup in a slot could change the world. Okay, or you could actually put Coker on the outside and put Leggett in the slot, and you don't have to say that here. You don't have to say that until after it happens. Sunday evening, the NFL says, "Oh wow, Leggett lined up in the slot, looked good. Coker lined up on the outside and looked good. Golly geez, we didn't have that on our bingo card." You know, that being said, um, back on defense, but now you also have four tight ends to go, and I disagree with the notion the Panthers need to draft another wide receiver high. I think that's way too early. Now, of course, if the Panthers are drafting at pick 20, 22 ish, or even in the teens, and the best wide receiver in the draft falls out of the top five into your lap, you might have to make a discussion of that. But that being said, it's unlikely. But they do have four tight ends that I absolutely like. I like Sanders. I think he could line up in the slot and actually play a lot of a Jimmy Graham style role. He blocks probably better than Jimmy Graham does, but he's still effective in a lot of ways in the blocking. But he's more of a pass catcher and less of a blocker. So, but that Trimble and Mitch Evans by far make up for that, and James Mitchell, my man James Mitchell, they all make up for that. So there's no use to overthink this situation. Allow the Panthers to run the allow them to run the ball. Allow them to play their offense to their success and use what they have because it works. I am not in the boat of trading and getting somebody I mean, an edge rusher we probably could use, but offense I think we're fine. Now, if you go down here to the edge rusher room, let's look at this briefly. If you go down to the edge rusher room, I believe uh Princely Amulet, Nick, they've already said Nick Scorton will start, but um Princely should get a lot of playing time. Now, y'all, DJ Wonnum was great at stopping the run last week, but if I'm the Panthers, DJ's going to get less snaps and Princely's going to get more snaps because I want my young guys out there proving themselves. Okay. I need to know as soon as possible whether they're up to this task or not. If they're not, I may have to try to scratch out and trade, which will likely affect my cap in a negative way. So there's a lot to that. Wallace and Roseboom swap positions. One got the green tag, and it's made a world of difference for Trevor Wallace. Um, you know, I think we're going to be fine. And also remember, Travelt Wharton so far has been a free agent bust for Carolina. This is his redemption game, y'all. He can come out healthier now against this Jets offense. He can make up for lost time, and if he can prove to everybody, hey, I am that guy, then we as a fan base can remove that free agent bust label we've attached to him. Yeah, there's some of you out there that does that. So, um, I refer not to call a guy a free agent bust until at least half of the season is over. But some of these are just my opinion, mind you. Now, yeah, whoever's updating this hasn't yet updated it very well, so they haven't moved. Uh, but that's fine. That's fine. Oh, let me shout out who does it because I have. Um, Rashad Beer of Panther Nation podcast. I believe he's the one that does a lot of these updates, and thankful to him. Um, Also, folks, we was on Friday C3 Friday Free for All yesterday. Last night we had a great show. Check that out on YouTube and the links. Um, y'all, that's going to be all I'm going to give for you today. Um, the Panthers very well are in a good range. Um, there's a lot of people out there with different opinions. Okay, and you're welcome to have any of those opinions. Um, Me, Diesel Skills, and Kobe Griffin. Um, we formed this podcast we call the Blue Black Attack because of we have our own opinions and we want to express them more on a regular basis. We still support C3 Panther podcast. Don't misunderstand that. But we do have our own voice, and it's time to get that out there. Um, Check out the Cole Show on Thursday. I'll be making more regular updates and regular conversations. I do a space at 7 o'clock on Mondays that anybody's welcome to. I also like to do a post game show around 7:30 or something. Y'all can it can I do it that late because I want that way fans could have time to settle their emotions a little bit because I know when I watch a game, I'll have questions way up until the next day and I'll have thoughts. And this way it gives folks time to ask the questions or get their thoughts out after everyone after things have settled down, you know. And a lot of folks I think enjoy that. Um Y'all, let's keep pounding as a fan base. Understand we don't know it all. Understand that things change routinely in the NFL. Understand that the GM and the coaches, folks, they're learning this too. They're learning on the job, and Bryce is learning. Bryce can't help it where he was drafted. You know, Bill Polian says, because I've heard him chat on Tuesdays on XM Radio, Channel 88, from 7 o'clock to 12 o'clock, or 10 o'clock rather. He gets on there and he talks with the co-host, and they talk about various topics. And he often says he likes Bryce Young. He's liked some of the things that Bryce has done, but he says there's two things you're not going to help. You're not going to help. There's something you can't help. Bryce Young will always be uh, he will always be 5'10". He will always be 5'10". You can't fix that. And those and his stature as a small quarterback. You can't help that. You knew that when you drafted him. So here's how you handle that situation. You take what he can do and you amplify it. If he's good at the short intermediate routes, then you amplify that. You get him guys that can do yak yards. That's where Jimmy Horn comes into play. Some of these wide receivers out to, for example, Tyreek Hill, he's just a fast guy. That's all he is. He's not a guy that's going to catch a 10-yard route and make it a lot. If he just doesn't, he has more speed than agility. Not saying he doesn't have it, but he has more speed than that. So things like that is something Jimmy Horn. Jimmy Horn has both. He has the speed and he has the agility, but he has more agility, and that's the guy you go after. That's why I think they've loaded up on running backs. They've loaded up on tight ends. They've loaded up on possession style. Oh, we used to call possession style uh, wide receivers. It gives you that West Coast feel with the strong running game. There's a lot of things that this organization mistakes they've done in the past, but if you know anything about life, folks, you make the mistake, you can apologize for it, but it's still already there. And you have to figure out how to move on with it, you know, uh, or whatever. Sometimes you just have to grow with it and say, okay, here we are. You have to adapt that. Okay, Bryce is here. You can't change that. So you adapt the team. Now you make Bryce your game manager if that's what you consider he is. And the best part about that is you build this team and you could always change it up slightly if something happens. At the end, come right after this coming draft in the first week of May, the Panthers have to make a decision on whether to give Bryce a fifth-year option. And Bryce's fifth-year options from over the cap reports it to be um 26.5 million. Albert Greer from SI did a little piece talking yesterday or the other week, a couple of days ago, claimed it was going to be 30 million. So that's the price of a 50-year option. Now, we can have our chatter on whether we think Bryce is worth that 50-year option tag, or do they not give him the tag and they just franchise him Because if they do that, he'll play with us next year, and then we franchise tag him and get him another year. Now, how much? So the Panthers basically got to say, all right, we're going to pick up that 5th-year option, give him the 30 million, and if something happens, then that just happens, or they don't give it to him and use a franchise tag. Now, remember, we picked up the 5th-year option on Sam Darnold and didn't take advantage of it because by the time Sam Darnold's contract was over, we had already traded for Baker Mayfield, and we just let both of them walk out of here and really didn't get nothing for neither one of them. I mean, I know we just didn't, and it was just an unfortunate situation. And I'm not even going back into those old wounds, but you know, that being said, I like how Bryce is doing the playing. He's using the play action, passing. He's and when Bryce has to throw, he's been super elite as accuracy wise. And I would rather have a quarterback who's accurate throwing the ball than someone who's got super arm strength but can't hit the broadside of a barn. I'm a Tennessee fan, and my balls are going to play later tonight. Check that game out. I believe me and Cole's going to do a space at some on Twitter. You're welcome to chatter a little bit with us, and we but Joe Webb, no, not Joe Webb. What's his name? Um, Backup quarterback for the Cowboys. I liked him in the draft quite a bit. He looked pretty good. Joe Milton the third. He looked pretty good when he played for the Patriots. They drafted him in the 6th round last year. That's a That's something the Panthers can consider doing in the future is drafting a late round quarterback. You never know how that works out. The Patriots got some couple good picks for Joe Milton. But Milton's got a strong, super strong arm. But in college, he didn't have good accuracy. Doesn't do you no good to have a super strong arm if you don't got the accuracy. Remember, there's another backup quarterback that several people, including myself, liked at the time. uh, he was drafted by the Titans, Malik Willis, but was traded to Green Bay. He had a strong arm, but his accuracy is another thing coming. So there's a lot of strong arm quarterbacks in the league that don't have consistent accuracy, and that hurts their development. So, I would rather myself have an accurate. You could get some with the accurate, smart quarterbacks. I believe that. If you look at the 49ers who are playing Atlanta this week, shout out to the 49ers. I hope you destroy them because I'm just I'm just like that, yo. I don't want to see my division rivals win. I just don't. Uh, I get nauseated when somebody tells me later in the year that I have to root for my division rival to win so we can make the playoffs. I get nauseated. I don't want to do that. So, but you look at Mac Jones, which is still robust. Uh, Brock Purdy was a 7th-round pick who people laughed at. They're in a quarterback friendly system that doesn't require them to overthink their routes and overthink everything. And that's the kind of offense I think we're building an offense in Carolina that's going to be quarterback friendly for those now and those in the future. And, is the future Bryce Young? I really don't know. To be honest with you, sometimes I hope so because it would make life a lot less easier, a lot less stressful to try to determine who that next quarterback for Carolina is. It's easy. Like I said, I'm a Tennessee fan, so I can tell you that, you know, uh, uh, Hendon Hooker is on our practice squad, and I want to see really what he can do. But I'm sure he's getting some sort of throws, working with the training staff, working with the coaches, figuring out what kind of future he has in Carolina. And you know, you, you know, um, Andy Dalton um is many folks, including myself, kind of feel that he'll probably retire next year. Now, either way, he signed a 2-year deal with a year voided onto that. So if he doesn't retire, he's going to be on the roster next year. But he'll be 39 years old, and he really didn't look all that impressive in training camp or preseason. But neither did nobody else. So you can't really hold that against Andy. And he's a solid veteran right now. So, but you know, court systems, NFL coaches can make a court system built on short, intermediate passing, run game, and just throw in a few more plays, and you got a deep pass down there somewhere. You just don't doubt your quarterback. Now, if I had to criticize our coaches, and I can criticize somewhat because they've learned why they worked. Um, I don't know. Listening to the to all you can listen to, listening to some of the player mic'd up, you learn things. I think that some of the issues were the coaches were waiting for the players to take that step. They want this to be a player led team. So the players have to make a decisions. And I think at times it may have been detrimental to us winning, but in the long run, it's going to work out. For example, you know, uh, Bryce, you know, has to make decisions. And I like some of the decisions he's made. Now, has he perfect? No. But he's learning, he's motivating, he's moving. And, if anybody plays bad, it's going to be up to Bryce Young, I think, to. Bryce Young takes the heat anyway, folks. If he throws it to a receiver and receiver drops the ball, they're going to give him heat. Okay. Take J.C. Horn. J.C. Horn at the end of last game, the Cowboy game, he come and said, "Now," he said, told the coaches, "I'm going to cover uh, Pickens because Pickens burned us a couple times. This is our game-winning drive. I'm going to do this," and that happened, and we walked away with a W. Now, maybe J.C. Horn needs to step up a little, be that leader they're wanting him to be that guy that's going to say, "No, I got this one because this is my team. I'm the number one receiver. I got to line up on that. Or I'm the number one corner. I got to not line up on number one." You know, um, does our defensive coordinator like it? I really don't know. Don't really care. I believe he himself has to take the responsibility to understand that you have to move your corners a little bit when you're motivating. Now, EJ Avero, on that side note, is a last year on his contract. I've often said I don't think he's going to be re-signed, but let's ask ourselves, if he doesn't get re-signed, um, if EJ Avero doesn't get re-signed, do does he want to come back here? Because they're building something, folks. They're building something, and one never knows when EJ may want to come back here because, hey, you're in the middle of building something. And if he chatters with folks and he realizes his agent, he says, you know what, if I go somewhere else, I'm just going to be another defensive coordinator. So I might as well stick with what we're building here and see it through. We won't know that till later on. But the one thing that I can promise you is Dan Morgan and Dave Canales have the best at heart for this team. Do they always make perfect decisions? No, they don't. And back to the running backs a little bit. Jonathan Brooks is on injured reserve. Do you re-sign uh Rico at the end of this year because he's on a 1-year deal? Maybe you do. Maybe it depends on what he's wanting. If he's willing to take a contract from Carolina, Carolina offers him a respective amount, then I think you do that and you figure it out later. I mean that. You let Chuba Rico compete next year preseason for the number one starting job. You throw in Jonathan Brooks and Trevor Et, and if you're only keeping three, then you figure out who's the last man standing. And I know Chuba was given a contract a couple years ago, folks. If you look at the details on that contract, we can save money by trading him. All these contracts that Brandon Tillis is doing are very team friendly, and I appreciate that. Y'all keep pounding. We'll catch you on the side. Enjoy the games today. Enjoy them tomorrow. We'll be here tomorrow. I'm Panther Pickle signing off for Diesel Skills and at Kobe Griffin. Keep pounding from the blue and black Carolina Panther Attack.